Good morning. I hope everybody's safe and well. And something fell there, I don't know what it was. Today we're going to make this beautiful, opulent Art Deco magazine rack stand, whatever you want to call it. You can do all sorts of decorations and beautiful things to this. I am just keeping it plain and simple purely for the tutorial. It's my main objective to teach you how to make up the furniture piece. So let's get on with it. Out of this, unusual enough, you will only get one of these. There's a lot of pieces to it. But it's very, very easy. It looks like it's hard to make. It's so simple. As usual, if you want to resize these and make them smaller or larger, make sure you group everything in your program. Bring it down or up. If you're going tiny, you might take away a piece or maybe two, depending on how small you'll go. If you're going larger, you might have to add some pieces. But for now, go along with me on this tutorial using one A4 sheet of 300 GSM cardstock. And then after you get the gist and you know what you're doing, you can move on to use 12 by 12 papers and utilize your space better and so on. The files come in DXF, Vector, PDF and SVG. They pretty much cover all machines and laser. This is your template guide. Print it off and use it. Look, we're getting on to much more pieces. So to save you any confusion or anything else, use it. I'm going to glue down 2 pieces and then we'll just get on with making it. Some of these I've already glued down and they're dry and all already. I'm learning to be more prepared. All the pausing and starting again, it's annoying. There's a little piece caught in there. You will never go wrong with these. Like if you look at these two, they're similar, but you know you're going right because all the pieces fit in their respective places and you will not go wrong. It's as easy as that. This one only has 2 layers. It's really only an embellishment piece. Now we'll get sticking down nice and quick. This is my gloopy glue. I'm just going to use smooth glue. I'm picking up my varnish here. I'm just going to use a drop of smooth glue to stick it down. There we go. That's a bit gloopy. I'm just using this cheap glue. I know I'm repeating myself now on some videos, but I was having serious issues with it because I ran out of my expensive tacky glue. And a lovely lady gave me the tip. Pour your cheapy glue into a tub and leave it open for a few hours and it goes tacky, and it really goes tacky. It's fantastic. I'm not buying tacky glue anymore. I'm just going to keep using this glue. I bought that at Mr. Pricey. I think it was £3. And it's great. It's great glue. It sticks really well. It's just when I'm doing tutorials, trying to put things together, they don't stick quick enough and it makes things look fumbly and hard, and it's not at all. So here we go. Oh, I also have my trusty damp terry towel for wiping my hands in between gluing. Now, which one am I doing? I'm going to do this. It's only 2 layers. This is literally just an embellishment piece for the end of your rack. I mean, you could go very opulent with these. You could put backing paper, you could put lovely pattern papers underneath these. It would be really nice. And I'm sorry now I can't go too detaily on effects and paint effects, but I'm pretty sure if you're here and looking at these, I know you have ideas already for pieces of for the pieces of furniture. I'm just lightly putting on glue and I'm getting my edges. As the famous old saying, get your edges. Now I'm just gently at first, because these lines and these cuts are delicate enough. I'm just turn it over and give it a good going over. You would be surprised now, that's just 2 layers of card. You would be surprised now how hard that gets when it's dry. See? This method, it's brilliant. Now, what did I say I'd do? I'll do this one. No, I won't do this one because it's done already. I'll do this one because it's more intricate with all these little cutouts. It's 5 layers of these. It's 5 layers of everything except the rack overlay, that little embellishment piece I just did. Okay, Jackie, remember to stay in your spot. That's my spot there. Shout at me if I keep moving. If you're new, if this is the first of my tutorials you're looking at, I'm going to leave a link below for a full, in-depth, much simpler tutorial, and you'll get a better idea. Yeah, I will start from beginning to end, gluing down all the pieces and going into much more explanation. So I really do not want to keep repeating myself, and people will shy off away from me. They'll get bored. And I definitely do not want that. Yeah. Well, my little doggy Jerry is gone off playing golf today. He's going to be sitting in the golf cart all day and running around the golf field. Hopefully he won't spot a rabbit or something and go missing on me. The reason being, I'm babysitting my grandson dog, my eldest daughter's dog I have here behind me. And he's lovely. He's a King Charles Spaniel. Look, there's a bit of the cut still left there, so I'm just going to get my pokey tool. See it? That happens a lot. But yeah, he's as good as gold. He's literally sitting here behind me and he's cuddling his teddy, and he is an angel compared to the other fella, my fella, Mr. Needy. I don't know what I was doing. I keep missing out on my taking out all the little bits. Normally they fall out. Now, just slather in the glue, get your edges, and try keep them as straight as you can and as even as you can, and all you can do is your best. And that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that and replace, which one is the one I did? I'll know by the softness, that one. Now, all that's left to do is, again, I know, bore you all, but it's very important. You put them under a heavy weight for at least a couple of hours. The heavier the weight, don't get me wrong, not a big weightlifting dumbbell or something, just a couple of bucks. And it helps to compress the card even more while it's drying out. Once more, here in Ireland, I would leave them about 3 hours. In the winter, definitely about 4 hours if it's cold and frosty. In a nice warm house and in a nice warm country, 2 to 3 hours. It's fine for these small, tiny pieces. But when you move on to larger pieces, you know the score. Oh, I have to keep that, don't I? I'm going to put these back into their respective places. Now, you're going to think this is hard to put together, but it's not. It's actually one of the easier ones. Just get into the habit of using the template guide. And once again, everything fits perfect. You will not go wrong. Okay, we're going to start with one of our rack sides and our overlay, our little embellishment piece. It's at this stage now, if you decide you want to put a beautiful pattern piece of backing paper, cut it out, and then glue that over. You know, you can play around. I'm just putting the slathering of glue on. Press that down. I'm going to have to leave this to dry out just for about an hour Not even an hour, as quick as the glue will dry. And you know what, I made a mistake. I glued the whole thing. I should have really just glued this. This is the second side. This is the rack side and the rack overlay. I'm trying my best to name the pieces as I go along. That way you can go along with me with the template guide. You know, people do say to me, you must be able to make that furniture with your eyes closed. You know something? That's not true at all. I still have to refer to my template guide to remember which piece is which and where it goes, you know. So it really is important to get used to using them. Most definitely when we move on to bigger pieces. As wardrobes, beds. I have a lovely king size bed coming up with matching quilts and a rug. But you will absolutely need to use your guide. Now I'm just going to put that under the weight. I'll be back in about 10 minutes just to make sure there's no chance of the overlay falling off. If you're going to do it, you may as well do it right. Just the extra little bit of caution and the extra little bit of care will make all the difference to your finished product, especially if you're going to be selling them. So I'll be back in about 10-15 minutes. Now, it's after being... Now, there you go. No, go lie on your blankie. I wish I could show you him. He's absolutely gorgeous. King Charles Spaniel, I think his name, his breed is. So they're dry. They're dry enough anyway. So we're going to start with the rack base and the rack center. I'm going to glue, move in a bit. I'm going to glue the very bottom edge side. Tidy up my glue a bit. We're aiming for the very center of this. And I'm going to just, it's not too bad. Almost central. Now I knocked it off. And my silicone, my handy dandy silicone tool, nail tool for taking off the glue, the head popped off on me. So I'm going to try and look for them online and see if I can order a few of them. They're so handy. I miss it. Now, I'm happy with that. I'm sorry, I'm bringing it up to me just for a second. It's even enough for me. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, but just go as central as you possibly can. And then we're turning it on the edge because we need these edges flush. This and this have to be flush because the sides have to go up against it. Yeah. That's that now. Sorry, one sec. Okay, now we're going to take one of our rack sides. I'm going to turn this on its side and we want to glue the bottom and the and all the edges, basically all the edges. I'm going to put it, what we're aiming for is the top of this arch, and we want the top of this to go dead center here on the top. You'll see now when I do it. We're aiming for the top of the arch, and we want this to go completely center. And this will keep everything straight. And if you see the gaps on either side here, make them as even as possible. The same on that side, the same on that side, and that keeps everything central and straight for you. Just go to wipe off some of this glue without moving it. I think that's pretty much straight. Yes, I'm happy with that. Now, here's the interesting bit. We're going to take one of our rack backs, rack back. No, sorry. Oh, confusion. We're going to take our rack insert and we're going to, what we're aiming for is, if you can see in here, we're literally going on top of the other one. On the inside. Do you see this notch here? We're aiming for that. Maybe you can see it on the, maybe we can see it on the template guide. You see the way there's two notches either side here, here and here? We're aiming for one of those notches. And we're keeping it in a bit from the edge of the base. I'm going to put a dab of glue on the bottom. And a dab of glue on this edge. And remember, we're going for that notch. And we're going inside. Practically tipping this. Now, I'll get this glue off and you might see better. See the way I've hit the notch? And I'm just barely inside the edge of the base. Just give it a good squish down just so it stays nice and firm before I do the next piece. Now we're going to get the other rack back, and it's the shorter one. And the same thing, except for this time we're going to the edge of the base. This one is just barely inside the edge of the base, the taller back rack. Rack back. What do I be thinking when I'm naming these things? They're like tongue twisters, but we're basically aiming for the very, very edge and end of the base and the edge of this, the rack side. So I need to glue the bottom. And I need to glue the end, the very edge end, bottom edge. Sorry, I hope now you got all that on camera. Now we're nudging it up against this edge here, right at the very bottom, and we're going out as far as we can go on the rack side. And I'm pressing down just to get everything firm. Now, you see what I've done there? We're like making a fan. This one here, the larger rack side, make sure you hit that notch and you won't go wrong. Now we're going over to the other side and we're basically going to do the same thing all over again. I'm missing a piece. What am I missing? Have this, have this. Oh yeah, I have it there. Yeah, a little bit of a distraction there. Puppy needed a little bit of attention. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're making like a fan shape. Again, see the notch? It's just a notch. You will see it yourself now when you're handling it yourself. So we want this to go just inside of the back here. So I'm going to glue the edge and I'm going to glue the bottom with my lovely tacky glue. We're nudging it in just behind the rack and we're aiming for that notch. It's hard to see on camera, but you'll see it. It's very distinctive when you're looking at it with the naked eye. Just going to wipe off my excess. Now we're going to get the outer side, and that's going to nestle up. I'm going to have to glue the inside and the bottom because it's going to nestle up against the very end of the base. I'm wiping the glue off I've only put on. I thought it was excess glue. Right, so we're knuckling up against the outer edge of this base. That one's a bit loose in there, but I'll fix it now in a second. And along the very edge of the back. And that'll do it. And this one here is a little bit loose, so I'm going to just press it in. Now, that'll rectify when we put the other side on. Now I am literally going to glue everything that's here on the edge, on the very end edge. This is by far the easiest way. I've tried every which way but Tuesday to glue all these, to try find the best and most simplest way to explain to you and to actually stick down these pieces. Trial and error. Now what we're doing is, your fancy bit goes to the outside and we're aiming the arch. We're aiming this part here just above the arch. I'm just going to eyeball it till I can turn it over and look at it better. So I'm going to turn it over here. That looks pretty good to me. Just a little nudge. Press down. This will be the truth now when if it's standing straight, no wobbling. That looks really good to me now. Perfect. Now all we have to do is wait for that just to settle a little bit before we get rid of those grooves. I always show you in every tutorial the grooves. Sometimes the grooves are more pronounced than others, depending on the mood you're in, but because we put the extra layer on, we're going to have more grooves. Now I'm just going to try hold that in place for you. Sometimes the focus is perfect and sometimes it's not, but you can see hopefully those grooves. We'll get rid of them, as you know, with our super duper clever glue. Now I'm going to put some fresh glue into this. The gloopy glue won't do for this. You're better off with smooth fresh glue. I'm just making sure it's nice and runny and smooth. Yeah, that's even. I thought for a second there it wasn't. The bottom is even. Everything is even. I'm happy with that. Now I am going I'm barely holding this. It looks like I'm very barely holding it because it's still kind of wet. Now what we're going to do is just gloop that glue on. We're going to make almost doming it on. We want it raised. We want plenty of it on there. You will know how much is too much when you're doing it yourself. This process is fantastic. It'll get rid of every single groove and no one will ever know that this is compressed card. It's really cool actually. Blobbing it on. And just before you leave it down to dry, you can just have a little nosy around and see is anything going to drip, and you can tidy it up and don't worry about it. Don't be afraid of it. What's the worst can happen? You can use a paintbrush. I'm probably going to have to go for a paintbrush now in a few minutes because I miss my silicone tool. Now I'm just going to go with this paintbrush here and get in all the little edges. Don't be afraid of the glue. You can wipe off the excess just before you settle it down. Blob it on. We want those gone. Now I am rushing. Normally I will take my time and be really fussy with it, and 9 times out of 10 it works the first time and nothing's left because I'm so used to doing them. But when I rush, there's always a few little grooves still showing, and I have to kind of repair it then just before the second coat of paint. So take your time. It's just so much worth your while to take your time and be fussy, because at the end of the day you're going to have a beautiful piece of furniture painted your way, you know, your own artisan way, and it's an heirloom piece of furniture that will last and last and last and hand down generations. I'm always saying it because I love the whole idea of that, the whole romanticism of it. It's lovely. I have 8 grandchildren now, hopefully more to come, but then all of a sudden I won't be far off great grandchildren. And to be able to pass them down, it's just brilliant. I love the whole idea. Now, I think I'll get away with just doing this, with doing these front pieces now. You see the grooves? They're pretty deep there. Hopefully that showed up. Sometimes the focus works really well, and then sometimes it's just so bad all you see is blur, and I'm thinking you can see everything. It's hard to judge because I can't see what's recording. I'm just using my phone. No fancy schmancy equipment for me. I'm not techie at all, as you can tell by the tutorials. It's pause and start for me. That's as technical as I can get at the moment. Now I'm going to do the opposite side of that. Get rid of those grooves. And then what I do is I let it stand for about 2 or 3 minutes. And if anything is getting drippy, I'll just give it a gentle little wipe. Now I can hear your man behind me. He's dreaming. He's actually dreaming in his sleep. He's talking to himself in his sleep. Now, what I normally do now is I will leave that to dry, and then I will do the underneath. It's so worth your while taking the time out to do this extra step. I mean, if you look at that, you can't see a sign of a groove. Now I'm looking at this. See this? That's going to drip down. That's going to drip down. So I'm just going to gently take a tiny piece off and then just and that should be all fine now. Wipe my hands. I'll go over here and see, is there anything too drippy? Usually it's always the end of the feet that drip over. And if it's a case that it drips over and it dries hard, just get a scissors and cut off the excess. It's fine. I try to catch it before that though. Now I have one here. You can see it's after drying flat. It's nice and shiny. It looks like the grooves are still there, but they're not. Pretty much all of those grooves are gone, says I with my fingers crossed. So I think you all know what's coming now. My varnish time. Always, always, always varnish first. Before you do anything, varnish first. As this is the magic. This is what helps this whole process of making furniture. This is the magic part. Now that brush, it needs to soften up a bit. Now get in everywhere. Just get stuck in and get in everywhere with the glue. Or varnish, sorry, I keep saying glue. Be generous, more than generous with it. You want it to soak into that card, and you want it to make it rock hard and moisture proof, and oh, it's brilliant. I know I'm always raving about it, but I was going to give up on this process because I just always felt when I was making the first few they're just not going to be strong enough. They're just not going to be. I just felt I was wasting my time, you know. But then I ordered that glue online because I was upcycling a nest of coffee tables, and I had painted it with chalky paint, and I did not want to use the wax. I don't like the wax finish on chalky paint. I just don't like it at all. It stains, and it's not. You're wasting your time and energy. That's the way I feel anyway. But I'm getting into all these nooks and crannies. But it was the way it dried out, and I loved the fact that it didn't stink to high heavens. And so I said, right, I'm going to try that on a piece of furniture. And I don't know if you saw my tutorial on the little whatnot shelves. That was the very first thing I made. I designed. But I could not believe. And it was, I only finished it. I did 2 coats of paint and then finished it with the varnish. And then something struck me when I said, okay, I'm going to try varnish it first. And from that day on, my little history was made with that glue, or that varnish. It was unbelievable the difference it made, especially with the larger pieces of furniture. So definitely you're looking for a water-based, for everything water-based, as you know. Water-based varnish, glues and paints, everything has to be water-based because everything you want is to soak into this and become part of the structure and harden and cure, and it's just brilliant. Now I'm going to leave that to dry for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It'll be touch dry, and it's okay to give it the first coat of paint when it's touch dry. Yeah, hopefully this is dry enough. I had a little feel of it. Yeah, it's definitely dry enough. Now this is, I've shown you this before. This is white water-based satin wood. I'm going to just give it a stir because I haven't used it in a while. I'll show you the tin now in a second. Any brand of satin wood paint will do. You're better off buying white so you can add colours to it if you wish. This is the tin I bought in my DIY store. Normally you can get a smaller tin than this, but this is the smallest size they had on the day. I do just pour it into these little tubs. I got these on Amazon a long time ago. And definitely water-based. Any satin wood, as long as it's water-based. But yeah, I put them in little tubs. You can mix these colours in with them. You can mix your acrylic paints and make your own little mix and match colours. It's actually very versatile, and it gives a lovely, lovely finish. So we're just going to give it, this had its coat of varnish, and we're just going to give it a first coat of this. It's not going to cover perfectly or brilliantly, but the second coat will. I'm trying to get in to my nooks and crannies first, and then I'll smooth it all out. I find that's the best way to do it. And I have my pokey tool here to remove out any clogged little holes or whatever. Yeah. I keep looking down at the dog and go, no, everything's okay. Toby. Poor Toby. I'll try put a picture of the 2 dogs in the end of this. I'm learning. My editing skills are dreadful, but I'm going to try anyway. You know I didn't succeed if the doggies don't show up at the end of this tutorial. Quick little snippet. Now, I'm trying to keep it as smooth as possible. Now it looks very rough now, but it dries out a lot smoother too. And I'm using too big a brush. I wonder will this one work better. Yeah, it works a little bit better on the insides anyway. I will get my pokey tool in there. Now I can see, because the grooves were so deep, because we've added the extra piece on the end here, I'm going to have to go over that again with a bit of glue, and that's okay. It's no big deal. Sometimes the second coat of paint fills it in. It's touch and go. I think err on the side of caution. Before you, when this is bone dry, do the glue again on parts that are getting on your nerves or parts that are showing up, and then put your second coat on after it's dry. I think that might be the best way to go. But the more you do this type of furniture making, the more you know. You can make a judgment call yourself. You'll understand the process more and get used to the feel and the look of things. I'm putting that on too thick. I'm going to take some of that off my brush. So I don't want it looking gloopy. It's definitely going to need some more glue. Maybe I didn't glue this one. Did I? I don't know. I'm losing the plot. I'm just going to do the underneath. Paint every single crevice. Don't leave anything out, even the end of it, even the feet, the bottom of the feet. Oh, I hope I stayed in my space for you to see that. Now at home you will be doing this much more careful and much more dignified. The objective of these tutorials really is just to show you how to make up the piece of furniture and not keep the video too long. I know I'm always repeating myself. Yeah. I think I mentioned in the last tutorial, I'm going to go during the week on a shopping expedition, looking for little bits and pieces for miniature making and decorating our furniture and other things. So I'll bring the camera along and I will do a little video and we'll see what happens on the day. I'll show you Mr. Pricey, Mr. Price. I love that. It's great for all the little bits and pieces. You'd be surprised. I remember one year at Christmas time, I bought these tiny little Christmas decorations, but they were perfect for miniature dollhouse Christmas trees. I was thrilled with myself. All I needed to do was make a pot. And I have the trees there. I never made the pot. But maybe I'll do a pot, a cutting file to do pots. Actually, I think I might. Now that's looking all scrapey and scrappy, but that will dry out hard. This has to be left for 24 hours. There is no ifs, buts or ands about it. I'm going to get my pokey tool. I nearly forgot because there's loads of little bits and pieces. And it'll pay you tenfold to get into all your nooks and crannies and get all those extra little cloggy bits out for the finished product. It'll look really, really well. And that paint there is very, yeah, get that up there. Now it's very, very important. You have to leave that to dry for 24 hours so everything cures and tightens in. Then you can come along with your glue again to fill in your little layers or your little compressions if there's any showing. Let that dry for an hour or so and then you can do your final coat of paint. Let that dry for about 3 hours and then put your final coat of varnish on. Follow this process and you won't fail. Even if you're doing fancy little finishings and things, let it cure for 24 hours if it's only your first coat of paint after the varnish. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully that wasn't too long. I have lost track because I've had to stop about 4 times. The end product is lovely. Nice and hard, just like wood. And of course you can do all your lovely, it's Art Deco, so you can go opulent with it. Art Deco was always golds, bronze and browns. You could look online, look for inspiration for colour schemes. You could put backing papers in behind this layer. You could go nuts. You could put backing paper in between. On the website there's tons of backing papers that you can scale down or scale up if you like. Anyway, I hope this has been of help, and I hope putting that together, I hope it looks okay. Because I had a couple of hiccups, but it really is simple. If you buy this file and you cut them out, turn on the tutorial again and fast forward it to the part where I'm actually putting it together. And when you're doing it alongside, it'll be self-explanatory, honestly. So anyway, for now, I'm going to say slán go fóill, and I will see you on the next one. I'm going to take care of this doggy before my other doggy comes back.